Before we dive in, a quick heads up. This video is absolutely soaked in spoilers. We're covering the entire life story of Meleys, straight out of George R.R. Martin's Fire and Blood, plus everything that happens to her across seasons 1 and 2 of House of the Dragon. So if you're not caught up on the book or the show, this is your one and only warning. Pause it. Go binge. Come back. Still here? Wonderful. Then let's talk about the fastest, sassiest, most criminally underrated dragon in all of Westeros. She was old, she was red, and she was faster than anything with wings had any business being. By the time the Dance of the Dragons rolled around, most of her generation was either dead, enormous, or both. But Meleys still moved like she had something to prove. And when she finally died, she didn't go quietly into a nice historical footnote. She took a king's dragon down with her and very nearly ended the entire civil war in a single blood-soaked afternoon. This is the story of Meleys, the Red Queen, and the two extraordinary women bold enough, or crazy enough, to climb onto her back. Let's start with the obvious. Meleys was gorgeous, and she absolutely knew it. Her scales were a deep, burnished copper red, and the membranes of her wings were a soft pink. Which sounds delicate until you remember this delicate pink dragon could roast a courtyard full of knights before they finished drawing their swords. The Targaryens called her the Red Queen, and it fit. She had presence, she had attitude, she had the energy of a woman who walks into a room and everyone immediately stops talking. But here's the thing that made Meleys special, the thing every maester and dragon rider agreed on. She was fast. In an age of monsters, Meleys was the sports car. She didn't have the sheer bulk of Vhagar, that ancient flying mountain who'd been alive since the conquest. She didn't have the raw terror of some of the younger, hungrier beasts. What she had was speed and agility, and in a dogfight, sometimes speed is exactly what keeps you breathing. She was also, and I cannot stress this enough, deeply into her comfort. But we'll get to her lazy era. First, we have to talk about her original rider. Meleys' first rider was Princess Alyssa Targaryen. Now, Alyssa was a daughter of King Jaehaerys the Conciliator and his sister/wife, Good Queen Alyssa. And yes, I said sister/wife. Look, it's the Targaryens. If the family tree makes you uncomfortable, this is genuinely not the family for you. Alyssa was a bit of a legend in her own right, a wild, boisterous, sword-loving tomboy who preferred hunting and hawking to needlework, and who reportedly cursed like a sailor and outdrank half the court. Basically, she was a menace, and she was fabulous. She and Meleys were a perfect match, two headstrong queens who didn't do anything at half speed. Alyssa married her brother Balon, again Targaryens, keep up, and together they had 3 sons, including 2 names you might recognize if you've watched the show: Viserys, the future king, and Daemon, the future walking red flag with a Valyrian steel sword. So think about that for a second. Meleys, the Red Queen, was the mother-in-law dragon of the entire main cast. She was there before the drama, before the thrones, before any of it. Sadly, Alyssa's story ended too soon. She died young from complications following childbirth, and just like that, Meleys lost her rider. And that's when our Red Queen entered what I can only describe as her retirement arc. Here's where Meleys gets relatable. After Alyssa died, Meleys didn't get a new rider right away. Instead, she settled into the Dragonpit in King's Landing and just vibed. For years, no wars, no riders, no responsibilities, just naps, snacks, and the occasional sacrificial sheep delivered right to her. And Fire and Blood is pretty blunt about the result. Meleys got fat and lazy. The fastest dragon in the realm turned into a plump, contented lump lounging in the dark, living her best low-effort life. Honestly, iconic behavior. We've all had that season, but a dragon like Meleys was never meant to spend her golden years snoozing under a mountain. She was built for the sky. She just needed the right person to remind her who she was. Enter one of the greatest characters in the entire saga. Princess Rhaenys Targaryen. If Westeros gave out awards for most robbed, Rhaenys would sweep the ceremony. She was the daughter of Prince Aemon, the eldest son of King Jaehaerys, which by every rule of birth order should have put her first in line for the Iron Throne. Should have. But this is Westeros, where should have and did are 2 very different countries. When her father died, the crown skipped right past Rhaenys to her uncle Baelon. When Baelon died, there was a great council to sort out the succession. And once again, the lords of the realm looked at Rhaenys, brilliant, capable, dragon-riding Rhaenys, and went, "Hey, let's give it to the guy." The throne went to Viserys instead. Passed over, twice, for men. History remembers her as the queen who never was, which is possibly the most bitter nickname ever handed to anyone, and she wore it like armor. So what does a woman do when the whole world keeps telling her she's not the main character? She walks into the Dragonpit, finds the retired Red Queen dozing in the dark, and claims her. And oh, the transformation. Under Rhaenys, Meleys got lean and fierce again. The naps were over, the snack era was done. The fastest dragon in the realm remembered exactly what she was. And now she had a rider with a lifetime of unfinished business and absolutely nothing left to prove to anyone. Rhaenys married Lord Corlys Velaryon, the sea snake, the richest man in Westeros and the greatest sailor who ever lived. Power couple doesn't begin to cover it. He ruled the seas, she ruled the skies. And Meleys was the crown on top of it all. Okay, quick pause, because we're about to get into the fire, the blood, and the part where Meleys goes absolutely feral. If you're enjoying this deep dive so far, do me a huge favor and smash that like button. Seriously, it takes half a second and it tells the algorithm that Dragon Lore deserves the spotlight. And if you want more videos breaking down every rider, every beast, and every messy Targaryen family reunion, hit subscribe. The Red Queen would want you to. Probably. She'd at least respect the confidence. Alright, back to the chaos. Now, if you've watched House of the Dragon, you already know the moment I'm about to describe, because it is one of the single hardest entrances in the entire show. Season 1, the Greens have just crowned Aegon II in a rushed, sneaky little coronation ceremony inside the Dragonpit, surrounded by lords and knights and a whole lot of smug faces. Everything's going according to plan. And then the floor explodes. Meleys erupts up through the stone, red scales, pink wings, and pure menace, with Rhaenys riding high on her back. The crowd scatters, people are trampled, and our Red Queen comes to a stop right in front of the newly crowned king and his entire family. Meleys is snarling. One word from Rhaenys and every usurper in that room is charcoal. And here's the part that gives me chills every time. Rhaenys doesn't do it. She looks down at Aegon, at Alicent, at the whole self-satisfied lot of them, and she chooses to fly away. Some people call it mercy. Some call it a missed opportunity that got a lot of people killed later. Personally, I think it's the most Rhaenys thing imaginable. The woman who was denied power her whole life, refusing to seize it through slaughter. Cold, controlled, terrifying. And it tells you everything about the rider and the dragon both. But mercy has a shelf life. And the dance of the dragons was not a war that anyone got to sit out. As the realm split between the blacks and the greens, Rhaenys and Meleys stood firmly with Queen Rhaenyra's cause, and when the greens made a move on the castle of Rook's Rest, our Red Queen flew straight into what became one of the most infamous dragon battles in the entire history of Westeros. King Aegon II rode out on Sunfire, a magnificent golden dragon, genuinely one of the most beautiful beasts alive. And Rhaenys, on Meleys, met him in the sky. Now, on paper, this should have been Rhaenys' day. Meleys was older, yes, but she was fast, she was furious, and Rhaenys flew her like a woman settling a lifetime of scores. She tore into Sunfire. She battered the golden dragon and his king, driving them down, dominating the fight. Aegon was in serious, serious trouble. But it was a trap. Because hiding, waiting, was Aemond Targaryen, Aegon's one-eyed, deeply unwell little brother, riding Vhagar. And Vhagar was not a dragon. Vhagar was a natural disaster with wings. Ancient, colossal, and old enough to have fought in Aegon the Conqueror's war, she made Meleys look like a hatchling. Vhagar came out of nowhere and slammed into the fight, and now our brave, fast, ferocious Red Queen was caught between two dragons at once. And even then, even outnumbered, even outweighed by a beast several times her size, Meleys did not go down easy. She fought, she twisted, she clawed, she gave absolutely everything, one aging dragon against a monster from another era. But there's only so much even the fastest dragon in the realm can do against Vhagar. In the sky above Rook's Rest, Meleys was overwhelmed and killed, and Rhaenys, the queen who never was, died with her. In the show, it's absolutely devastating. That slow, quiet moment where Rhaenys looks up, understands exactly what's about to happen, and faces it head-on without flinching. No begging, no panic, just a warrior meeting her end on her own terms, exactly the way she lived. And here's the kicker, the Red Queen still won something in death. She'd savaged Sunfire so badly during the fight that the Golden Dragon was left crippled and out of the war for a long, long time, and King Aegon himself was left horribly burned and broken. Meleys lost the battle, but she made sure the enemy paid for it in blood, gold, and dragonfire. She went out like an absolute legend. So let's take a breath and remember what Meleys actually was. She was a dragon who carried two of the most fascinating women in Targaryen history. She was ridden by Alyssa, the wild sword-swinging princess who never did anything quietly. And she was ridden by Rhaenys, the queen the realm refused to crown, who found her fastest self on the back of a dragon everyone else had written off. Meleys had her lazy era and her legendary era. She was underestimated, overlooked, retired, and counted out. And then she came screaming back to remind an entire kingdom that speed and spite are a genuinely lethal combination. She burst through a stone floor to spare a king's life, and she died in the sky trying to end a war, taking her enemy's greatest weapon down with her. The Red Queen. Beautiful, deadly, criminally underrated, and unforgettable. And that's the full story of Meleys. If this video earned it, please drop a like. It genuinely helps more than you'd think. And it lets me know you want more dragon deep dives like this one. And if you're not subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss the next one, because trust me, there are a lot more dragons where this came from, and not all of them get a happy ending. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep your sword sharp, your dragon fed, and maybe reconsider marrying your sibling.